Hi gents, and welcome to another shaving video. Today I'm going to answer a few questions about, well, the questions that have been asked of me at least, on what is the best shaving brush. Now of course this question, if one thinks about it, just for a moment, don't think about it too deeply, but if you think about it for a moment, you'll see that it really is quite an irrational and illogical question. Why? Because that's like saying what's the best belt, or what are the best shoes, or what's the best tie. It doesn't really make any sense. It's only what's best for you. So I'm going to look at the three types of brushes, and of course there are all sorts of grades. You can get really, really cheap brushes and you can get very expensive ones. But I'm going to talk about three basic types of brushes. We have firstly the Boar brush, or sometimes called the bristle brush. Now this brush is a very, very handy brush, particularly if you're using hard soaps. Why? Because there's quite a firm loft there, you'll see. And also it is very, 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 very hardy. Word of warning, these brushes stink. Yes, they pong, they really, really smell. So in seasoning this brush, or getting it up to par, in other words, for your nose as well as your face, you probably need about 10 to 15 shaves, and you'll find that the smell will dissipate. I'll put up another video on how one can remove that smell a lot faster. But very, very good brushes. But again, they need some seasoning. You need to keep them in warm water as a usual part of your routine. Let them soak well, and you'll find that they will reward you with years and years of service. They're generally very cheap. They come off the back of a pig, a boar, but they're very, very useful, and I actually quite like them. The other brush is a synthetic fibre brush, and you know, they call them silver tip synthetics, and let's face it, it's synthetic. Whether you call it silver tip or Rolls Royce or whatever you want to call it, this has been manufactured by human beings. So it's not going to hold as much water, but it will create an enormous lather, only if you're using, in my experience that is, if you're using creams or crops. You really wouldn't use a synthetic for hard soaps. But again, that's my opinion. Reasonably inexpensive. You can pick them up for, I don't know, $30 to $60. I have seen one for $100. But it's one that doesn't actually perform like a synthetic brush. It kind of has that nice sturdy feel to it, but it is synthetic. Finally, we're going to look at the Badger brush. Now, we go on and on and on and on about the Badger brush. There's Best Badger, there's Pure Badger, there's Nearly Pure Badger, there's Kind of Pure Badger. No, there isn't really. What I'm trying to make is this. These particular brushes are the creme de la creme. Why? Because they hold lots of moisture and water. They enable you to go back 2 and 3 times for a second and third pass when you're shaving. They do require a little bit of care. You can't just, throw them around the place. They need to be dried fairly well, and never, ever, ever store them in a cupboard or a shaving cabinet in the bathroom. Always let them out in the open so they can just, well, you know what badgers are like. They like the open. I hope that's helped you. Of course, there's so many things we could talk about, but I hope I've answered your questions, folks. We'll see you again next video.